This is a 1999 Chevrolet four-wheel drive 1500. It belongs to one of my son's friends from work. And he came in to do some brakes and wound up with a whole can of things to do. Let's get into it. Matt was bringing it over here to put the brakes on it. There's what's left of the wheel bearing. So it gave up. I figured I'd help this feller out, and his headlights was dim. I got a little polish kit. I started polishing his lights, but there's no bulbs in there. But at least you can see through it. But getting back to the task at hand, this thing, I think the shock mounts, the bolts are broke. I think Matt's going to put some shocks on it. The sway bar end links are gone, and that causes some drivability issues. Makes them hard to steer when you hit a bump. I mean, you can drive it without it, but you really need them. Matt's got it cleaned up now. He's going to put a new caliper on it, new wheel bearing. It's really overextended right now. Overextended sometimes eats these CV joint boots up. The rotor's been turned. Then you get into this over here. Sway bar link is gone. The shock is broke completely out. And the CV joint boots are gone. We're going to try to get this thing where it'll run, drive, and steer. And at least try to help him out a little bit. He's got another issue with the frame that we may cover today. We may not. But got all kinds of new parts. Going to fire the parts cannon at it. I've been sick for a few days. I ain't been able to talk, so I haven't made any videos, but I thought this would be a good opportunity to do some wrenching on an old Chevrolet and help somebody out. We'll get back in a minute. We'll get ready to start putting these bearings in. Well, Matt got the hub on. I think it's the one for the right side, but that's the one they gave him. Looks like to me like the wire's on the wrong side. But he got some shocks for it, and naturally the shocks was the wrong shocks. He got some end links. He's going to put some end links on it for the sway bar. And it's one thing after he's used every tool in the building to try to get that stuff apart. But he's getting there. This shock over here wasn't even connected to anything. It's just loose. It don't look like it's had no sway bar end links on it in a long time. Let's see. Well, there's the ABS on this side. It's not connected to anything. This thing's had a rough life. It needs CV joint boots bad. I think it's been jumped. The frame was tweaked a little bit, and everything under the front end that stabilizes it is broke. I think the front end's come down hard and bent everything out of shape. It's been airborne. Dukes of Hazzard. It looks like the car landed just after the commercial break on Dukes of Hazzard, so it's really dug in somewhere. Probably not him. He probably bought it like this, but whoever had it before him was. One other reason I think it's been jumped is the windshield's cracked. The driver's door glass looks like it's been busted out. And the bed has been crammed into the back of the cab. It's jammed into the back of the cab. So this thing has come down hard at some point. Yeah, it's got some random bullet holes in it. So my theory is it was taken out off-roading. They jumped it, it quit, something broke. They abandoned it. Somebody else come along on a four-wheeler with a nice rifle, shot a bunch of holes in it, maybe busted the glass out. Then it was recovered, put together just enough to run, and then sold to the guy that bought it that Matt's doing the work for. That's a theory. And it's a really good one for this part of the country, because that seems to be what happens to all four-wheel drives around here. They just get broken down and left in the middle of the woods. But it ought to run and drive and stop when he gets done with it, and that's all the guys really want. So we'll go from here. Well, couldn't find the shocks for it. He's going to try to put the old shocks back on where they're wallered out. Got the sway bar end link on. He's about to wrap this side up there, get some brakes on it, and then got to start all over on the other side. Okay, getting closer. He got the shock back on it and had to modify it to make it work. Let's see, we got the welder out. Get me a light here. Got this sway bar end link on. He put that shock on there. It was completely broke off, so he welded the tab on the top of it. So I guess if he ends up putting the shocks on it for the guy, we'll just take a sawzall or a hammer and beat that plate off of it that we welded on there. And what we're trying to do is just keep it from drooping too far. If it droops too far, it could pull these sway bar end links apart again. We're just trying to save the guy a little bit of hassle and make it steer going down the road. So right now he's got to put the brake caliper on the other side. We're getting closer. I know that's a crappy job, but it's better than what it was. It was flopping around in there, banging into the CV joint, banging into everything. It tore the wire out that went to the reader for the brakes. So we're trying to make a little bit of improvement. We get back to these brakes on the other side, we'll. Okay, the rotor and the caliper's on. Got to change that brake line there because we think that it was plugged. And Matt had to go buy bolts for the caliper mount because there was only one piece of hardware in it. It was just kind of flopping around on there. It's just missing a whole bunch of stuff, but we're getting closer. We'll have this line on there in a few minutes, and hopefully this side will be wrapped up.
Don't forget your copper bolts.
Yeah, you need to make sure you replace your copper washers. Okay, getting closer. Got all the lines, everything. Had to zip tie a few. Got them put back up on here. Now we may have to bend this brake line because it's going to get in between the tar and the shock. That's whoever had it broke the mount off, I guess, and that brake line is just kind of flopping in the wind. I don't like that. That really needs to be behind that shock, but I don't know. We'll see if it rubs the tar. If it don't, we'll go with it. Now, we're not trying to give people advice on doing this stuff. We're just trying to get this guy transportation. He needs it fixed, and we're doing the best we can with what parts we got. So when I said we welded this shock on here, we welded this shock on here just to keep it from flopping around. It's going to have new shocks on it, I guess. But we're just trying to keep them out of the way. I don't recommend ever doing that. But we're just trying to get it by. This guy needs this truck to drive back and forth to work. We're trying to make it happen. And now getting ready to fill a reservoir up with brake fluid, bleed the brakes, and then move on to the next project. Okay. Brakes are bled. And looks like all the pieces are on this side. The pieces we had. The brakes are bled on this side. Of course, we got fluid everywhere. And it's got a good firm pedal. Matt's going to put the wheels back on it and turn it around. We got to look at the back side of it. There's some frame damage we need to look at. See how bad it is. But that should be the front end for now. It's got a good solid pedal. We got all the brakes bled, so that should take care of that part anyway. Okay, the welder's out again. See what Matt's got going on under here. This frame is broke. Somebody's repaired it once before on this truck. Let's see if I can get this. Yeah, somebody's repaired it. They put a whole piece of angle iron over the frame on this side. But they fixed it. He's back up in there somewhere welding. I'm not sure where. Let's see if we can see. Oh, I felt like I just broke something. I don't know. That's broke completely in two. He's got it jacked up to hold the weld together. A little chewy, but our welder's not hardly big enough to weld this kind of stuff, but he's going to make a fish plate right now and put a fish plate on it. And that should get this thing at least solid enough to drive around anyway. I think that's the only, looks like the only broken part on this side. Somebody's already repaired that part. Looks like they're trying to C-notch it, but whoever done it done a pretty good job back there. I don't know how ours is going to look. The frame is kind of pulled away there, and Matt's trying to weld it back together. Well, let's take a look at this side's even chewier. It's ratchet strappeted, and there ain't nothing to weld here. It's going to have to be done like the other side. It's going to have to be boxed with angle iron. I don't know if we got stuff here to do that. Somebody tried to fix it before. The only thing holding it together looks like is that snubber. They got two great old big cargo straps on it. But, yeah, we'll do what we can. We're not trying to fix it, we're just trying to make it hold. You can see where Matt's been welding these angle plates on. He's got, the main crack is right here. But there was another crack down here, so he welded it. And it's hot. And he welded this up here. Now he's going to cut a plate, a fish plate, to go in between them to cover all this up. So it's getting there. It's starting to stink. I hope he ain't setting something on fire in there. But that'll secure enough last this old truck anyway. Well, looks like he's got all that welded up. It's secured back together. It should be fine. He's got it back on the ground. It don't move. That should hold it just fine. It's going to be a little weak back here, so it probably needs another plate on it. But at least over top of the rear end will stay in it anyway. But we're done here tonight. It's way late, way out in the morning. Matt's got to get this truck back to the owner. And look, there's some bullet holes. He's got it put back together. It's got brakes, and it'll track straight down the road. It needs the idler on the steering arm, but other than that, this thing is as good as we can get it with what time we had and what parts we had. So it should sail right on down the line. Hopefully the rear end won't pass itself. Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. Me and Matt's asking for anybody that watches to subscribe. We don't have enough subscribers yet. We'd sure like to have more. We'd like for you guys to join us and hit that notification bell. Every time we put a new little video out like this, you can ride along with us. Thank you guys, and thanks for watching. Stay clean, everybody.